Bonjour à tous. Merci de vous joindre à nous tôt ce matin à l'événement portant sur un sujet d'actualité. Mon nom est Cindy O. Je suis associée chez DS Avocats et coprésidente de l'Association commerciale Hong Kong Canada, chapitre de Montréal. Before we dive in, I'd like to take half a minute just to talk about HKTDA. We are a not-for-profit organization that just celebrated our 40th anniversary. We have 8 chapters across Canada from coast to coast, from the Atlantic all the way to Vancouver. And we are also part of the Federation of Hong Kong Business Associations Worldwide, which comprises of 49 associations in 38 different countries and 11,000 members around the world. We're proud to be part of this global network, promoting business opportunities around the world and fostering connections worldwide. Aujourd'hui, nous sommes ravis de discuter de l'importance de la diversification commerciale en cette période de guerre commerciale. La diversification des échanges est essentielle pour réduire les risques et assurer une stabilité économique pour les entreprises. Pour soutenir ces efforts, divers programmes gouvernementaux sont disponibles et tels que Panorama. Pour présenter ces différents programmes, Marc Doucet, conseiller expert exportation Asie-Pacifique Moyen-Orient chez Investissement Québec International, vous présentera quelques de ces opportunités disponibles. Hong Kong offers significant advantages, including its strategic location as a gateway to Asia, with access to half of the world's population within a 5-hour travel. This makes it a hub for international business and is undoubtedly why Hong Kong has been and remains the world's premier financial center. This is but a teaser for a few reasons why Hong Kong is a great way for market diversification, but we have Mr. Andrew Yui, Director of Canada of the Hong Kong Trade Development Council, HKTDC, here to present more of these reasons as well as actual opportunities available to companies in Hong Kong. Thank you, HKTDC, as well, for your gracious support. Finalement, nous sommes vraiment choyés d'avoir pas un, mais 2 entreprises qui vont parler de leurs expériences. Tout d'abord, nous avons Mme Emma Du, ambassadrice des ventes et marketing chez BioK International, qui nous partagera l'histoire de réussite de BioK dans l'exploitation des opportunités à Hong Kong. Par la suite, nous accueillerons Adrien Laporte, CEO et fondateur de Smart Pixel, un outil immersif pour vendre et présenter dans le domaine immobilier, qui partagera de son expérience avec des programmes ainsi que son démarchage en Asie à date. This event will end with a Q&A period, so please keep your questions at the end. Last but not least, Mr. Eric Cardinal, our Vice President of the M&A Club, as well as member of the board of our board, will say a few words in closing. A few housekeeping matters just before we begin. As I mentioned before, we'll have a Q&A period at the end. Please raise your hand physically and online, or use the Q&A function for those attending online. For those attending in person, please make sure that your phone is on silent. For those who are attending virtually, please make sure that you are muted unless you are speaking. Please note that this meeting is being recorded so that we could replay it on our YouTube channel, and all photos may be taken for HKCBA and its partners' promotional purposes. Finalement, j'aimerais prendre l'opportunité de remercier nos commanditaires. Sans eux, cet événement ne serait pas possible. The Hong Kong Trade Development Council, HKTDC, DS Avocats, M&A Club et la Banque Scotia pour leur accueil chaleureux ce matin. Votre soutien est inestimable et grandement apprécié. Alors, pour débuter, nous avons l'honneur de recevoir plusieurs conférenciers distingués ce matin. Alors, tout d'abord, nous allons accueillir Marc Doucet. Je te cède la parole.
Bonjour tout le monde, Marc Doucet, je suis conseiller expert chez Investissement Québec International. Je couvre les territoires du Moyen-Orient, Chine, ASEAN et Océanie. Je vais parler rapidement de ce que fait Investissement Québec International et ensuite quelques programmes de financement qui sont disponibles, ceux qui sont disponibles chez Investissement Québec et aussi ceux qui sont disponibles chez d'autres partenaires du niveau fédéral. Ce que fait Investissement Québec, en fait, on a un accompagnement. On fait l'accompagnement spécialisé des entreprises qui veulent exporter dans des territoires à l'étranger. Pour notre cas, nous, c'est l'Asie-Pacifique. Donc, on va faire du conseil. On peut vous aider avec des recherches sur des informations sur le marché. On accompagne aussi les entreprises dans certaines démarches d'acquisition ou d'implantation sur les territoires. Et évidemment, on est un peu plus connu aussi pour l'accompagnement dans des foires commerciales. Ensuite de ça, on a tout un côté financement. Un autre des piliers, c'est important, c'est du financement qui est soit des prêts, il y a certains programmes de subvention, malheureusement pour le moment, ils sont fermés, mais il y a toutes sortes de programmes de financement qui sont disponibles chez Investissement Québec. À la toute fin, vous allez voir, il va y avoir un code QR qui va vous amener à la page avec l'ensemble de nos solutions financières. Aujourd'hui, on va se concentrer principalement sur ceux qui sont nouveaux, qui sont un petit peu moins connus. Bon.
Towards
I thought it was one of my last times. I will
No, towards me, towards me.
Oh, sorry.
No. We have to go back to the presentation.
Okay. Oh, if you could please go to the next slide, I guess.
Try now.
There we go. Okay. So obviously, since the last few months, there's been a lot of talk about diversification because of certain changes that have happened south of the border and tariffs. There's a lot of things that have a lot of questions that have come out of this new reality, this new trade reality. So a lot of entrepreneurs are looking towards new markets that they're maybe not accustomed to. For most of the other foreign markets, we don't have the ease of basically taking a case of product, putting it on a truck, and it's in Vermont in less than an hour. All the other export markets are a little farther. Some of them have different business cultures. So there's sometimes a lot of learning to do before we can actually export as easily as we have done traditionally with our neighbors to the south. This is a snapshot of what Investissement Québec can do in terms of accomplishment. These are the offices that we have across the globe. So these are Quebec offices that are based sometimes in Canadian embassies, sometimes they're standalone offices. All of these offices can accompany you with these services that we've mentioned, and they can also give you support for the financial progress that we will be mentioning. Notre nouveau programme, Panorama, c'est un programme qui a été conçu là, récemment pour pallier au changement dans nos portefeuilles de solutions financières que nous avons. En fait, ce qui est intéressant dans ce cas-ci, c'est pour faciliter la diversification. Puis, ça ne veut pas dire que quelqu'un ne peut pas appliquer pour les États-Unis, mais idéalement, on va appliquer pour des marchés qui sont hors États-Unis. Ce que c'est un prêt sans garantie d'un minimum de 250 000 $ qui va aller jusqu'à 1 million de dollars. On va travailler avec l'ensemble de plusieurs équipes d'Investissement Québec pour pouvoir valider une demande. Donc, ce que c'est que vous allez voir votre directeur régional ou votre conseiller ou conseillère spécialisée à l'exportation pour dire « j'aimerais faire une demande Panorama ». C'est quelques clics essentiellement pour vous à travers l'Internet. Puis, c'est des gens à l'interne avec qui vous collaborez chez Investissement Québec qui vont faire la validation de votre demande. Il n'y a pas de taille d'entreprise minimale ou maximale. Évidemment, une entreprise en démarrage qui a moins de 2 ans, c'est plus complexe. Mais si vous êtes une entreprise en bonne santé financière, vous seriez éligible. Donc, le taux d'intérêt, essentiellement, c'est le taux de base plus un facteur qui va être en fonction de votre santé financière. Donc, c'est variable d'une entreprise à l'autre, mais ce n'est pas un taux d'intérêt usuраire, c'est taux plus, disons 2. Bon, c'est parmi des taux raisonnables, si on veut. Le processus, c'est essentiellement, vous faites une demande sur la page Internet, votre directeur du bureau régional, là où est basée votre entreprise, va faire une demande vers les conseillers spécialisés à l'international. Donc, eux autres, ils vont dire, le pays où est-ce que vous voulez vous exporter, c'est un pays à risque, est-ce qu'il y a un embargo, par exemple, est-ce que vous, comme entreprise, vous avez de l'expérience à l'exportation? Il va y avoir un avis à l'interne qui va être fait pour dire oui ou non si on a le droit de faire. Ça va vite, c'est avec les fonds propres d'Investissement Québec. C'est premier arrivé servi jusqu'à temps que les poches soient vides, essentiellement. So, Panorama is an open program for now. It's going to be open until we run out of Investissement Québec funds. There have been quite a few requests to go forward with this program. So if you do have any questions at the end, there's going to be a QR code that brings you to the page of all of our programs. So basically, the maximum is up to $1 million for the Panorama program. You can use the funds for cash flow purposes to buy equipment. It doesn't necessarily have to be for something related to export. It's to help you have the working capital to be able to use some of your funds for exporting. So if your needs are over $1 million, we have another program that you can use that's called Avril, that's complementary to this. So at the end, again, with QR code, you'll be able to see all the programs that we have. So if you have needs that are more than $1 million, you can combine all of the Investissement Québec programs, including Panorama and avril, to other programs like Pensez that we'll see soon, or programs that are put forth by BDC, Can Export, or BDC. Usually, you'll be talking to the same people internally at Investissement Québec for these programs, whether it be Panorama, avril, or ESA for those who have used it, or PSCE, the export support program that's currently on hold. You'll be talking to the same person. So there's also Frontières, which is a Quebec government-based program. So the important criteria in here is that you have to have a certain percentage of your exports that are already in the United States. So it's an incentive that's really there to help you diversify your market. But if you only export currently 10% of your business to the United States, you wouldn't be eligible for this type of program. This is also mostly for manufacturers. So for people who have a service business, you wouldn't be eligible. Theoretically, you are eligible, but they will really put focus on manufacturing companies who do this. So there is contrarily to Panorama, il y a des garanties dans ce précis, but you can get much larger amounts of a loan to diversify the market. So Pensez is also information that you can find easily on the Investissement Québec webpage. These are the high-level criteria. All the presentations are in French. But if you need material in English, I can also provide it. So the amounts are much bigger. You can also use some of the Frontières funding for acquisition. If you need to acquire either maybe another company partner or a solution provider, or equipment, or to also improve your productivity levels. So what you can do with the fund is pretty versatile. However, the criteria is a little bit more restrictive than Panorama or Enregistrement. So I don't wear the federal government hat, so I have a very discreet slide on other funding programs. Can Export. So in my past life, I was in the private sector for close to 20 years, doing fully exports. So Can Export is a great program. It's actually a subsidy, a non-reimbursable subsidy. You can get 50% of a $100,000 project returned. So, for example, Eric and I want to explore Oman. We're doing business development. We want to explore the market. Well, consulting fees, business development trips, per diems, anything, trade show, a booth, everything can be included within this Can Export program. So you propose a project of up to $100,000, and if accepted, they reimburse 50 cents out of the dollar. Some of the fees, legal fees for setting up an incorporation or a joint venture overseas can also be in there. If you have any translation, digital marketing fees, there's a lot of things that can be included into these projects. They're smaller amounts. So a very important note about Can Export, le programme doit probablement fermer d'ici la fin du mois de mai. Bon an, mal an, il y a environ 4 000 à 5 000 demandes. Ils acceptent à peu près le tiers. C'est ouvert depuis le 1er avril, mais c'est un peu comme les autres genres de programmes où est-ce que c'est premier arrivé, c'est premier servi. Puis, lorsque les fonds sont dilapidés, le programme se ferme. Donc, je pense qu'ils écrivent sur leur site web, là, à la fin mai, ça va être fermé. Le programme se fait de façon relativement facile. C'est une quinzaine de pages qu'il faut remplir sur Internet. Puis, on envoie un plan d'affaires. Donc, un plan d'affaires, un plan stratégique pour le développement d'un marché. As for the other programs, personally, if I were to add something in my request or my strategy, I would make sure that I'm talking about market diversification outside of the US. Just If you ask me to repeat it tomorrow, I will deny having said it. So there are other organizations, EDC or BDC, that you also know. I'm not sure how I'm doing on time, Cindy. EDC has just put out a $6 billion portfolio of different types of funding. They have multiple programs, so I highly encourage you to take a look at their website. One of the really interesting things that I used as an entrepreneur in the past was the receivables guarantees. So I can have a contract with EDC, and it's a very small price of the percentage of what would actually be needed in the total value of my purchase order that I'm getting from a client. And they guarantee 90% of that receivable up to 180 days. You can negotiate the days. So you can provide these extended terms of credit to your buyer overseas, knowing that you're protected and you're secured by EDC. So the moment that they default on their payment, EDC goes after them, and you get 90% of the contract that you're supposed to receive. So let's say the garantie de recevable in French. So it's a really powerful tool in the sense that you can start negotiating, start trading, and knowing that all of your receivables are guaranteed, at least to 90%. So they have multiple amounts of tools that are not always promoted everywhere, but taking a quick look at the EDC website is definitely worthwhile. Also, BDC has a lot of loans for working capital, market expansion, not necessarily just exports, but improving and optimizing your processes here, whether they be manufacturing or a service business. You're able to basically get a little bit of working capital to free up some cash for your export projects. They work a little bit like BDC, EDC and IQ, in the sense that they'll have a base rate plus a certain prime on top of that. So BDC has, I would say, not as competitive as Scotiabank rates, but close to. So they have a bunch of solutions that are really interesting to look into as well. I'll share the PowerPoint presentation, and in the links, it'll send you directly to those respective websites. So this is a snapshot of basically the Investissement Québec portfolio of financial solutions. The one we discussed the most, Panorama, which is for all sizes of companies. Frontières, mostly manufacturing companies that have a significant amount of their business in the United States. Grand V is also a loan program that's complementary to Panorama, but also allows you to go get much larger amounts. This one does have warranties and does have, I would say, stricter conditions than Panorama. And SA, which we didn't touch to very much, but SA has several components to it. Most of them are closed, but there is one to help you improve your productivity for in-house processes. It's not dedicated to export. So I put it here, but in the end, that's a little bit of a recap of some of the funding programs that are currently available. And again, it's important to act quickly, because once the funds are gone, you have to wait until next year for that. So I encourage you to take a quick snapshot of the QR code. If not, I'm always available to send you the information. Thank you for your attention. Should I take the questions now? Or at the very end? À la toute fin. À la toute fin, les questions?
Oui. So next up, we have Andrew Yui, who will be presenting to us, as I mentioned before, about Hong Kong advantages as well as opportunities in Hong Kong.
Bonjour, mesdames et messieurs. Can everybody hear me? Okay, good. It is my great pleasure to join you today to discuss the subject of business diversification to Asia. What I'm going to do is to present you with the Hong Kong story. And I hope that you would like to consider including Hong Kong in your Asia business plans. In other words, what I would like to do is to invite you to think Asia, think Hong Kong. So allow me to present to you why Hong Kong and how Hong Kong. Hong Kong is a special administrative region of China. It has benefited from a lot of support from the central government. This has helped Hong Kong's efforts in enhancing its position as Asia's international business hub. For example, in China's 14th Five-Year Plan, it has set out the roles for Hong Kong as the country's, as China's international business hub for finance and investment, for technologies and innovation, for international trading, for shipping and aviation, for intellectual property trading, as well as for legal and dispute resolution services. Also, in the China 14th Five-Year Plan, it has underscored the commitment to the dual circulation concept for economic development, with the domestic market as the mainstay, and at the same time also enabling domestic market to interact with foreign markets in a positive way. For this, Hong Kong has played an important role. Hong Kong has been an active participant of domestic circulation. It has also been an efficient facilitator of international circulation. If you are looking at the China market as a target market for you, and if you are using Hong Kong as a launching platform, you may also like to leverage the special treatment for Hong Kong businesses in the mainland Chinese market under special arrangement called Closer Economic Partnership Arrangement, CEPA. This free trade arrangement was signed in the year 2003. And since then, it has been expanded in both scope and context over the years. In brief, CEPA is a free trade arrangement for Hong Kong products to enjoy import tariff exemption in the Chinese mainland market, as well as Hong Kong services sector can also enjoy preferential access to the Chinese mainland market. Overseas companies can also enjoy this benefit through partnering with or outsourcing to CEPA qualified companies in Hong Kong. As China continues to play a key role for the world economy, one of the key growth engines of China is the Guangdong, Hong Kong, Macau Greater Bay Area, also known as GBA. The Greater Bay Area consists of 9 cities in Guangdong province, plus the Hong Kong and Macau Special Administrative Region. This is one of the wealthiest regions of China, with a total population of more than 86 million people. That is double the size of Canada's population, and with a combined GDP of $1.9 trillion US. Its economy is equivalent to that of South Korea. The Greater Bay Area has technology, innovation, and manufacturing capabilities, in addition to talent, capital, and advanced infrastructure. The Greater Bay Area is positioned to be a vibrant, world-class region and an international innovation and technology hub. Greater Bay Area is the ideal entry point to the mainland China market at large. Hong Kong, being the most international city in the Greater Bay Area, is the ideal entry point to the Greater Bay Area for overseas companies. When you leverage the Hong Kong platform, you may also like to take advantage of its close connectivity with the Asia region at large. For example, geographically, Hong Kong is located at the center of Asia, with close proximity to most of the most exciting markets in Asia. Hong Kong's ideal location in Asia, plus its close business ties with the various economies in Asia, makes it the business superconnector in Asia for foreign companies. And I would also like to add that Hong Kong has also become a very popular destination for companies from across Asia coming to Hong Kong, using Hong Kong to get connected with overseas companies. For example, in our organization's international trade shows and conferences, we're seeing an increasing number of exhibitors, buyers, and delegates from across Asia coming to our event to find potential business partners from around the world. And companies from around the world can also leverage the many Hong Kong fundamentals to tap business opportunities in a more efficient way. For example, Hong Kong offers both local companies and overseas companies a level playing field. All companies using the Hong Kong platform can enjoy protection for their contracts and their intellectual properties. Hong Kong practices the same legal system as that of Canada. That is common law. Hong Kong continues to provide an excellent business environment for everybody with free movement of people, goods, capital, and information. And Hong Kong offers companies the most tax-friendly environment in the world, simple and low tax. Hong Kong benefits from its dynamic workforce to sustain its economic development. When you leverage the Hong Kong platform, you can also take advantage. You'll also be served by the dynamic workforce with world-class professional services. And the people in Hong Kong can also will also share with you their business experience and work experience with companies from the East and the West. All in all, Hong Kong is the Asian city that speaks your language. It's the language of international business. And that is the comfort that foreign companies are looking for when they venture into the Asian market. The Hong Kong business platform is supported by various traditional and new industries. For example, the Hong Kong is the international financial center in the world. It ranks number 3 after New York and London in the Global Financial Centers Index. With its unique links with mainland China, Hong Kong is also the global hub for offshore renminbi business. On the transportation side, the Hong Kong airport is the busiest air cargo airport in the world, and it has first-class passenger airport facilities. Hong Kong also operates one of the most efficient container ports in the world, and it also provides a great deal of excellent maritime services. On international trade, despite the small size of Hong Kong is actually one of the leading trading entities in the world. Now, in addition to the traditional industry, Hong Kong is also developing its strengths and advantages in the new sectors like healthcare and medical sector, sustainability, innovation, and technology. Due to the time constraint, I've been oversimplifying on the Hong Kong advantages, Hong Kong fundamentals. If you are interested in any of the points that I mentioned earlier on, please let me know so that I can provide you with more information. Now, let me move on to how Hong Kong. When you devise your business plan, 3 of the major components that you need to include obtaining relevant market intelligence, finding potential business partners, and going to the market in an effective and efficient way. When you put all these 3 components plus other components in your business plan, you don't have to do it alone because there are multipliers who would be able to assist you. For example, Investissement Québec here in Montreal and Quebec, Marc has given you a lot of ammunition to add into your business plan. Because you need money to go overseas to the overseas market. I'm so pleased to hear that, Marc. And likewise, here in Montreal, in Quebec, the Hong Kong family in Canada, consisting of your association, the Hong Kong Canada Business Association, the Hong Kong Economic and Trade Office, my organization, the Hong Kong Trade Development Council, and Invest Hong Kong, we regularly co-organize with like-minded multiplier partners Canadian trade missions to Hong Kong. Now, these trade missions are what I call windows of opportunity for Canadian companies to leverage, to tap the business opportunities in Asia. These trade missions are regular, they are annual, they are recurrent, they happen at roughly the same time every year so that participating delegates can plan their schedule and budget accordingly. And what we do is that for the mission program, the major one is for the delegates to take part in a major relevant sector-specific international trade show or conference in Hong Kong, so that they can leverage the platform to meet potential business partners from around the world. And then many of our events also have what we call deal flow matching service, helping project owners looking for investors, helping buyers looking for sellers, and vice versa. And there are also other additional programs for each individual delegates. Now, what we do is that we regularly publish our updated Canadian mission to Hong Kong on a regular basis, and it's on the 12-month cycle. And you can obtain this from the Hong Kong Canada Business Association here, or you can contact me for the list. For individual missions, we also publish individual mission announcement, like this one, for the upcoming Canadian Life Sciences mission to Hong Kong, scheduled for end of May. And you can see that, for example, on this mission, Life Sciences mission, we have multiplier partners. In addition to the Hong Kong family member, we have Life Sciences BC, EDC, the Canadian Chamber of Commerce in Hong Kong, and the Canada-China Business Council in cooperation with us in organizing this mission. And for each individual mission, we have different multiplier partners. For example, every January, we have the mission to go to Hong Kong for the Asian Financial Forum. Eric's M&A Club is our major core multiplier partners that we appreciate very much. Let me share with you some of the photos that we have taken in some of the past missions. This one is the photo taken with the Canadian Financial Mission to Hong Kong every in January, the Asian Financial Forum. You can see Eric, are you in there?
Second from the line.
Anyway, this one is in April, the Canadian Innovation Mission to Hong Kong and the Canadian Consul in Hong Kong stages Canada Pavilion for Canadian exhibitors to showcase what they have to offer to the world. I talked about the Canadian Life Sciences Mission to Hong Kong in May, and Emma, Infrastructure Mission to Hong Kong is every September to our Belt and Road Summit. Clean technology, again, the Canadian Consulate usually stages Canada Pavilion at the Eco Expo Asia in Hong Kong in October. Our logistics mission to Hong Kong to the Asian Logistic Maritime Aviation Conference. So, mesdames et messieurs, I hope that we will have you in some of the photos of our upcoming missions to Hong Kong. And before I stop, I would like to thank HKTDC Montreal section for staging this event, Bank of Nova Scotia for providing this beautiful venue, and most of all, thanks to all of you for coming to this event. And the Hong Kong family in Canada welcomes you to join our windows of opportunity to Hong Kong. Merci beaucoup.
Next up, if you have any questions, don't remember, I'm writing them down. we'll take them at the end of the presentations. Next, we saw already Emma in one of the presentations, but we are very pleased to have her in person with us today to share about BioK's experience and how they leverage Hong Kong for their market diversification.
Great. So hello, everyone. My name is Emma, and I am part of the sales and marketing team at BioK. So today I'll be sharing with you guys BioK and the opportunities in Asia while using Hong Kong as a platform. Oh, sorry, it's pulled that. So just a quick company overview. BioK was founded in 1994 in Quebec, and it is one of Canada's largest probiotics company, covering the manufacturing and the R&D. So we have products ranging from capsules to drinkables, all of them containing the same 3 strains that are unique to the company. So we have a original line, more for daily users for probiotics, and a pro line for people that would need a higher dosage of probiotics, for example, if you take antibiotics. And so for the context of speaking about sales in Asia, we'll be focusing more on the capsules. So BioK is in fact the only probiotic in the world to have been approved by Health Canada due to its effectivity of reducing the risks of AAD, antibiotic-associated diarrhea, and CDAD, seed-specific-associated diarrhea, which are actually 2 cases that are commonly seen in hospitalized patients, for example, using antibiotics, or seen in patients in long-term care facilities. So BioK is also the #1 pharmacist most recommended probiotics in Canada for 8 consecutive years, and their IBS probiotics are also approved by the CDHF. So BioK really puts a very big emphasis on the R&D and science, which aligns directly with Hong Kong's vision of wanting to provide the most top quality and most efficient products to the consumers. So we prove the efficiency of our probiotics through ongoing clinical trials and peer-reviewed journals that are both published in well-renowned journals such as the Journal of Gastroenterology of America or the Clinical Infectious Diseases. And I'd also like to mention, when you collaborate with Hong Kong, you also ensure to have your IP protected at all times. So we recently actually got introduced to the Hong Kong Science and Technology Parks and the Inno Center, which have R&D centers, labs, and business facilities strategically located across the Great Bay Area, which for us, it benefits to have direct access to interconnected markets. So ongoing, BioK is looking forward to deepen their research in the clinical trials for CDAD and AAD, and additionally continuing the research to provide more, basically covering probiotics for different health situations. And so we are currently discussing collaboration with HKTDC to use their cutting-edge technology to make the research a lot more efficient, to also have direct intel on the newest hospital regulations from the hospital authority, and finally to have direct collaboration with recognized universities such as CHUK and HKU. So around this time last year, we had the opportunity, thanks to the Hong Kong Trade Development Council and the Consulate General of Canada to Hong Kong, to participate to the 2024 Hong Kong International Medical and Healthcare Fair and the Asia Summit on Global Health. So during those couple of days, we had the opportunity to participate in well-organized B2B meetings and matchmaking services directly provided from the trade commissioners. And we also had many networking events that allowed us to meet potential distributors and investors and potential partners, essentially, from mainland China, Hong Kong, and for our case, even Japan, South Korea, and Southeast Asia. So one of the notable takeaways from these meetings is our current ongoing collaboration and discussion with Kerry Pharmaceuticals and their logistics teams to potentially bring BioK products into Hong Kong via the hospital channel while collaborating with the hospital authority. So Hong Kong really just is a very strategically located region within Greater Bay Area, as Andrew mentioned, in the southern area of China, which has direct access to the whole mainland China. So as it is a ever-growing region, as he mentioned, right now reaching almost a population of 86 million and a GDP of around 1.9 billion US dollars, we took that opportunity to penetrate that market to the mainland China market via e-commerce sales while keeping the logistics in Hong Kong. So looking onwards, once again, thanks to HKTDC and the Consulate General, this year, it's actually in a month, very, very fast. We have the opportunity to participate into 3 consecutive events happening simultaneously. As I mentioned earlier, the ASGH and the Hong Kong International Medical and Healthcare Fair. But additionally, this year, we also have the opportunity to participate to the Hospital Authority Convention, which for us will benefit many plenary sessions and symposiums that will gather almost 7,000 clinicians and healthcare professionals and hospital authorities from all around the world, Hong Kong, mainland China, and overseas, which will essentially serve as kind of like a super connector of the world with people with a shared vision of fostering global connections and to advance healthcare. So that's it for me. Thank you very much. And let me.
So last but definitely not least, we have Adrien, who will be talking to us about the Smart Pixel. I think that you will be talking to us about your experience thus far in Asia.
Yes. So unfortunately, I don't have such a nice presentation as the one from Emma. Very good job. Smart Pixel is a company that we've been in business for over 15 years now, but we just started exporting outside of Canada. So yeah, I have a video that will show a little bit what we do. But in just a few words, what we do is we provide digital twins to real estate developers, mostly for pre-construction sales and marketing. So basically, you can play the video, yes, please. Our digital twin experiences are basically using gaming technologies. We use Unity as a gaming engine, and we allow the user to see the future property and allow the user to turn around it and understand all the different features of the project. So the experience we have with HKTDC is mostly we've been 2 years in a row attending some of the events that they're organizing in Hong Kong. And that allows us to understand better the market and plant seeds. So we have some projects that we've managed to have. The one you're seeing behind me is an example of a project we did with Swire Properties. It's in Hong Kong. Yeah, so it shows basically the building in 3D, and you can actually select floor plans, so you can filter what type of units you're looking for, if you're looking for 2 bedrooms or 3 bedrooms. This is a very, very simple experience that we created. And it allows us to basically just, it allows a broker to actually present the different floor plans and all the different features, the amenities. And there's also a map that you can see, so you can look at the surrounding. If we move a little forward, so this is, thanks to this organization, we were able to actually connect with more partners. So one of the very, very good success story we have is definitely with a partner we found in the Philippines. So they are a company that provides all sorts of services to real estate developers. And with them, we managed to have different projects, mostly in Manila. But why I'm saying this is the Galleon project in Manila. And we also managed to have other projects in Japan with the very large group, Mori Group. So why I'm mentioning those projects, even though they're not in Hong Kong, it's because it's all related to planting seeds for a company like us who's providing a cutting-edge technological product and service. It's sometimes very difficult to convince the clients to actually change the way they were doing business. So for many, many years, obviously, people have been buying and selling real estate, but using technology and specifically gaming technology to enable to do this has been some sort of it's been a game changing for a lot of developers, but it's sometimes very difficult. The decision makers are often worried about investing or risking using new technologies to doing that. So by planting seeds and attending those events, we can slowly but surely conquer other markets. And yeah, Swan also have business in North America, in Europe, and other places in the world. So it allows us to keep in touch with the Asian market and being able to, like I said, slowly but surely find new partners and new clients. So yeah, this is a famous project we did for Mori Group. It's called Toranomon Hill. It's the tallest skyscraper currently in Tokyo. And you can see on the video, the person is using actually a big touch screen. So all the software is optimized for touch usability. You can zoom in, you can look at all the different floor plans. There's literally over like 100 different features you can do. And one thing we're also hoping to be able to develop mostly in Asia is definitely to have other usage of the software, whether it's for monitoring or management of the facilities or the buildings once they're constructed. But again, that's more in a I don't know, maybe 3 to 5 years future, where we will start seeing other use cases of those gaming technologies in the real world or the built world, I would say. That's it.
We'll now leave the floor for questions. I believe there was some at the end of our table here, and those online, please feel free also to raise your hand. We can unmute you so that you can ask your questions. Si vous avez des questions, n'hésitez pas à nous poser tant en ligne, je pourrais vous mettre live et puis je vais commencer à céder la parole.
Merci. La question de pour Marc, de savoir, Panorama, est-ce qu'il y a des exclusions par secteur d'activité, par exemple, les services professionnels, est-ce qu'ils sont admissibles?
C'est assez large. Je vous dirais, à part la vente de produits financiers, il y a certaines exclusions, là. Mais les restrictions sont surtout au niveau des territoires. Par exemple, s'il y a un embargo quelconque là, pour un sous-secteur dans un pays donné, les gens à l'interne vont devoir le divulguer puis mettre une note là-dessus. Mais des services professionnels, il n'y a pas de problème. Je vous dirais que c'est surtout axé pour les gens qui vendent des produits. Il n'y a pas d'exclusion comme telle.
Est-ce qu'il y a un embargo à Hong Kong?
Non. Non. En fait, il y a presque plus d'embargo qui s'applique.
Avec un collègue ici, on pourrait passer par
ouais,
on pense à la France aussi.
Ouais, c'est ça. Il y a un petit questionnaire par rapport au risque qui est fait par la personne d'Investissement Québec là, qui s'occupe de votre secteur d'activité par rapport au risque politique, la stabilité politique ou le risque de faire affaire dans ce pays-là, en parallèle avec l'expérience de l'entreprise en exportation. Mais je vous encourage, pour ceux qui font les demandes, je vous encourage à prendre contact avec vos conseillers ou vos conseillères spécialisés et les gens des bureaux régionaux qui sont les deux personnes principales qui s'occupent de vos demandes. C'est ça. Mais il ne devrait pas avoir de soucis.
J'ai aussi une question, another question for Marc. You talked briefly about the Panorama Frontier and the criteria, but as you talked about when we're preparing it, talk about market diversification. What are the other items that companies should be preparing for in order to apply for these programs?
So a lot of the programs, how can I put this? So I'll put an entrepreneur hat on in the sense that when you fill out a request, it's important that the results that come towards the Quebec economy and the Canadian economy be clear. If we're using public funds to fund a company, but you generate jobs, you generate more revenue, you make more profit, there's a good side for the Canadian and Quebec economy. So it's important to have some message related to that in your requests. Your plan, if you have a marketing plan or a market expansion plan towards a market, it's good to have a little bit of a sense of the research that you've put into it. That's just in my past life we had a company who sold vacuums and they were aiming for the Caribbean, but it was more like business tourism. They didn't really have a plan. They said, well, we want to do something for Costa Rica, which was great, but there was actually no market potential for what they actually did. They did heavy-duty industrial vacuums. So there has to be some thought behind why you're going to this market. You know, Hong Kong has a lot of advantages in the sense that it can be a great hub for the rest of Asian markets. So if you take a map and you put the size of a dollar somewhere, you've got about 40% of the world's population right next to Hong Kong. So it has tax incentives, it has a great legal system. So having part of like I'm using Hong Kong as an example, but having a medium-term strategy that encompasses the request that you're currently doing for Panorama is pretty important. So the people who are looking at your request are going to say, well, they put thought into this and they know where they're going. It's not going to be a straight line, but somehow they'll make it to the end that they're trying to meet. So that answers the question.
Yes, no, for sure. So a business plan, and also to talk about a little bit more the medium-term goal, also not just a one-time entry point. Any other questions?
There's a question on the online that says, so thank you all for the presentation. I'd like to ask Mark if there's a timeline that can be provided for the Panorama Fund from initial application, project assessment to date of funding.
It's Panorama's, I would have to say, hats off to the Investissement Québec team for that. It's quite fast. So for a company to go online, it's literally just a few clicks. You should receive an initial answer within, I believe it's 48 hours. So it's really within a couple of, so don't quote me on 48 hours, but it's really within a couple of days. It's really fast. And after that, the assessment is done by the teams. So we work, I've touched on a couple of them. It's basically a short survey on the company itself and the market where they're going. It usually should be done within a few weeks. However, the disbursement and the funding, I'll have to get back to you on a specific timeline for that, but the request itself to be approved internally is actually quite fast. And to kind of touch on the beginning of that question, again, it's limited funds for all of these programs. So it's first come, first serve. C'est important si vous avez un besoin financier pour vos projets d'expansion, c'est important de tout de suite mettre la main à la pâte. D'après moi, le premier qui devrait fermer, c'est le CanExport, là, qui est la subvention qui est offerte par les services des délégués commerciaux, qui devrait fermer d'ici à peu près un mois.
Perfect. And Mark, you did mention that it is that the CanExport may close by the end of May. However, if I understand correctly, it's a program that is reoccurring every year, correct? Or obviously it's subject to, obviously. Yeah,
well, I'll take a step back because I don't want to mislead people either. So CanExport actually has 3 programs. One of them is for associations. One of them is for innovative companies who want to have co-development projects, which I did not touch upon. So I was really talking about the CanExport SME program. And they all have 3 different timelines. So the innovation and association one, there are usually not as many requests as for the SME program. But yeah, so they do reopen. It's a yearly, it's usually based on the public organization's budgets. So it opens up April 1st, and then it closes when the funds are gone through. There are some programs like ESA that we didn't touch on very much, or PSCE from Investissement Québec, that open up at random dates. Again, they're usually open for very short periods of time because once all the requests are in and the budget is allocated, they stop taking requests. So in a nutshell, the last time the PSCE was open, it was open for less than a month. So it goes by fast.
If I can say something about CanExport, because we've been granted this help a couple of times already. Just for other entrepreneurs, it's really key to submit on day one. It takes a couple of weeks to get things done. They have questions for you, but like in the past, I failed and I won sometimes. And every time I, applied, even like a week after the first date, sometimes the funds would run out before the actual file was actually studied. And I remember also the first day you deposit, there's a lot of companies, like thousands of companies that applied for that simultaneously. So you have to be ready like on day one to have all your things ready. Just a tip for anybody who wants to apply for this next year. Maybe.
Yes, that's what
Very useful.
No, that's what I was going with, is that although the funding may be completed soon, I think it's something to keep in mind, especially with the programs. I guess my next question is the programs that Andrew was also mentioning that runs every year might be a good time to look at those opportunities and then, see if you could, if it's not this year, prepare for next year for the various programs that are, if I understand correctly, non-refundable on top of it. So it's a great opportunity. And maybe since again, you're speaking right now, you talked a few of your projects that look really incredible on, in Asia. Could you talk a little bit about your experience? Like you touched about it briefly, how you've been to a few of the trade shows and it got to these, these different opportunities across Asia, not just in one location. Could you talk a little bit about the timeline so that like entrepreneurs plan accordingly once again?
You mean to go to the activities that were organized by HKCBA?
Yeah, CBA, TDC, and then afterwards having those projects and collaborations materialize.
It was pretty straightforward. I think for 2 years in a row we've been, and even this year we were accepted, but unfortunately we could not attend in person. But I think the process for subscribing or registering was very simple. I didn't go there myself those past years. Alicia actually went there last year with Michelle, our VP of Strategic Partnerships, and Jackie Chan, also another partner. The experience, the feedback I got from them was very positive. There's a lot of different meetings. Probably in about 3 days, they met like 6 or 7 companies with important decision makers. And always a lot of people. I got a lot of pictures with full boardrooms. So that seems to be very, very good in terms of how the logistics and the organization of those planning was made. And we also attended a trade show called InnoX. I saw a picture of that event there, which I think it's a great event. Just maybe not, since it's not real estate, like related to real estate for us, it was a bit not, I don't know. I think it's a great if you are like in a tech service, but like you're trying to offer to a very, very broad audience. For us, it was good. We met people, we shook hands, but it's a long time investment to go there. Yeah.
Perfect. Thanks for sharing your experience. And then I wanted to maybe go back to you, Emma. You talked. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry. Question pour Adrien. C'est un marché que je connais un peu, parce que j'ai couvert une World de Paris.
OK.
Bravo, parce qu'il y a beaucoup de concurrents dans ce marché-là. Félicitations. Sur votre expérience en investissement, est-ce que vous avez ouvert un bureau? Est-ce que vous pensiez en ouvrir un? Comment vous pensez vous localiser? Ça, c'est la première partie de la question. Puis la deuxième, plus technique, à savoir, est-ce que vous interfacez avec les logiciels de gestion de grands chantiers comme la Connex, Proco?
C'est une bonne question. Non, on n'a jamais pensé, ou en fait, j'ai souvent pensé à ouvrir un bureau, mais on n'a jamais fait le move. La stratégie, puis comme je vous dis, honnêtement, c'est pas par manque d'intérêt, c'est juste qu'on est extrêmement occupé au Québec. On s'est exporté beaucoup, beaucoup dans l'Ouest canadien. Ça est devenu notre plus gros marché. En ce moment, notre gros focus, c'est vraiment la Floride, en fait. On a beaucoup, beaucoup de projets là-bas. Fait qu'évidemment, une petite compagnie, on est 35 personnes actuellement, donc c'est déjà beaucoup, beaucoup d'efforts de s'exporter en dehors du Québec. Donc l'Asie, l'Europe, c'est des marchés qu'on considère un peu secondaires. Ça veut dire qu'on ne va pas nécessairement mettre autant d'efforts, autant d'argent, autant de temps et d'énergie à développer ces marchés-là. On est un peu plus passif dans notre approche. Donc définitivement, on n'a pas les moyens en ce moment d'ouvrir un bureau là-bas. L'approche qu'on a essayé de prendre, qui a commencé à fonctionner l'année passée, c'était vraiment de trouver des partenaires qui, eux, en fait, offrent des services connexes au marché de l'immobilier. Et puis, il y a eu de la chance là-dedans, mais aussi beaucoup d'efforts. On a réussi à convaincre un partenaire qui est vraiment clé, une compagnie avec à peu près 400 personnes, justement, qui est située à Manille, aux Philippines. Mais tout ça, c'est possible parce qu'on pose des photos sur les réseaux sociaux, qu'on voyage, qu'on va à des événements. Il y a beaucoup de bouche à oreille. Puis, honnêtement, sans cette aide-là, on n'aurait pas pu arriver jusque-là, je pense. Puis, l'autre question...
passage avec
oui. En fait, nous, on connecte avec n'importe quel API. Donc, c'est sûr que Procore, je pense qu'on a déjà fait quelque chose avec eux. La plupart des API auxquels on se connecte, c'est surtout des CRM ou des programmes pour gérer des inventaires. Donc, par exemple, on a un partenaire qui est Onyx, qui est une compagnie montréalaise, qui offre un système basé sur Salesforce qui aide non seulement à la vente, mais aussi à la gestion de l'inventaire. Ils ont des systèmes avec l'intelligence artificielle aussi pour prédire des tendances du marché, puis comment les prix vont fluctuer. Donc, nous, on peut se connecter à ça, puis on peut montrer l'inventaire en 3D, en fait, sur les écrans. Donc, oui, on se connecte à ça. Pour ce qui est de la gestion de chantier, tout ça, comme je disais, c'est un peu, c'est où est-ce qu'on veut s'en aller, mais c'est encore très préliminaire, là, je vous dirais, pour dire comment est-ce qu'on va s'y prendre et tout ça.
Oui, j'ai une question pour Andrew. I have a question for you. Okay. On your slide, you talk about ASEAN. That is a big market, and about 700 million of consumers. In terms of Hong Kong, do you have a good relation with this organization?
Oh, yes, yes. Yeah. Hong Kong is, as I mentioned, has close business ties with the entire Asian economies. And I think one point I would like to emphasize again is our international trade shows and conferences. Because we are seeing more and more companies from across Asia coming to our trade shows and conferences to meet overseas companies under one roof at the same time. And that is a very efficient way to do businesses. And my suggestion to Quebec companies is to look at the different trade shows and conferences, look at the different Canadian trade missions we organize to Hong Kong and make use of it, because it saves you a lot of efforts. Because no matter how much resources you have, Asia is a huge area. You have to be very careful about the management of your resources, human resources, time, and also finance resources. So if you can identify good trade shows and conferences at the international hub in Asia, go for it, and then use that to establish contacts with potential buyers, investors, or suppliers.
Yeah,
Hope I have answered your question.
I think I could also maybe touch upon, like we could look at also in terms of concrete actions, in terms of the trade war, we saw quickly how the Chinese government quickly went to the ASEAN. So I think, Hong Kong being, part of CEPA and part of the 14th five-year plan, obviously Hong Kong is a hub for that, for ASEAN and to do business. And then just going back to the Asia Summit on Global Health, I think I'm hoping I'm saying that name properly because I rebrand it every time.
Okay.
I do know that it's the largest get-together in that domain in Asia. So, using Hong Kong as a hub once again, as Andrew said, is really incredible. And then maybe I think I could also another question I had actually for Emma was, you were mentioning how BioK, prides itself on a lot of the studies that you do. In your presentation, you were talking about using the Hong Kong Science and Technology Park to do further studies. Is that to complement the studies that are already done here, to reinforce them, or is the idea to target like the Asian market, so to have a different perspective? I just wanted to
so clinical trials tend to be kind of it shows the effectivity of the product. So for our clinical trials, we have done it with around 35,000 patients using BioK, but the target population was more North America. So by doing it in Hong Kong and collaborating, you could potentially have patients that would be using probiotics and in the Hong Kong population. So when the consumers see that the studies are done on populations in Asia, it's much more effective as a indication of the product's quality. And additionally, honestly, HKSDP, they also look at your business and propose many different routes to take. They also propose to us to use some of our strains while protecting our IP technology, but to manufacture for potentially like an OEM product, to manufacture there and to do some research using their facilities. And I think we're doing like an ongoing research on children having autism and providing like probiotics on that. So that project is a potential collaboration directly with HKSDP so that we have like a much more efficient way of doing it. And because a lot of these products might directly be in the hospital channel, so with HKSDP's collaboration with directly the hospital authority, we're able to know directly what are the rules, regulations that we have to follow in order to enter that channel.
Perfect. That's great. It's a great insight for, especially for companies who are looking into, going concretely into Hong Kong, and especially in the healthcare domain, which is highly sought after, but also highly regulated. It's always great to know the ins and outs locally. Are there any other questions in person? Oh, yes.
Marc, PSCA, on a bien souligné l'importance de répondre rapidement. Il y a 2 semaines, Dominique disait que ça s'en venait. Il l'a répété la semaine dernière dans une autre conférence. Donc, avez-vous une date?
Non, malheureusement, je ne m'avancerai pas. C'est vrai qu'on dit que ça s'en vient, mais il n'y a pas de date, il y a pas de date comme telle, mais il y a beaucoup de travail qui est fait à l'interne chez Investissement Québec de la part de toutes les équipes pour mettre en place des outils de diversification. C'est le thème de l'heure, là. Puis pour nous, en fait, pour qui représentons les territoires d'Asie, Moyen-Orient, c'est une opportunité aussi d'accompagner les entreprises qui ne regardaient peut-être pas nécessairement ces marchés-là dans le passé. Mais il y a un travail assez important qui se fait pour l'ensemble de ces programmes-là. S'il y a on est théoriquement dans une époque où les budgets sont peut-être moins généreux qu'ils ont déjà été, avec une incertitude économique là, avec les fameux tarifs avec les voisins du Sud. Donc, les gens sont prudents avant de mettre de l'avant un programme pour être sûr qu'il puisse être le plus optimal possible. Il y a toujours des petits changements d'une année à l'autre par rapport aux critères d'admissibilité, les enveloppes totales par projet. Donc, il y a des ajustements. Ces ajustements-là sont souvent faits en sorte pour pouvoir permettre à une plus grande partie de l'entrepreneuriat québécois de pouvoir servir de ces outils. Donc, je n'ai pas de date, malheureusement.
J'ai une question pour vous, Marc. En fait, c'est parce que je parle avec les gens de mon équipe, et puis je leur explique tout ce qui se passe ici, puis ils me posent des questions aussi. Ils me demandent, en fait, est-ce qu'il y a un possible overlap entre Grand V puis les autres?
Absolument.
Donc, tu peux en demander plus qu'une. Oui. Puis ça n'a pas d'influence avec ce que tu peux avoir, admettons, avec CanExport ou PSCA?
Non, c'est ça. Souvent, dans ces programmes-là, pour ceux qui l'ont déjà rempli, là, il va souvent avoir un endroit où on va demander, avez-vous reçu les contributions d'une tierce partie? C'est important de les divulguer. Mais même les programmes Investissement Québec, Panorama au Grand V, ça va souvent répondre à des différents besoins. Puis, par exemple, quelqu'un qui veut un programme Panorama, mais il a besoin de plus d'1 million, on peut complémenter. Il y avait des slides à cet effet par contrainte de temps, là, que j'ai choisi de présenter, là, mais ils sont complémentaires l'un et l'autre.
C'est ça. C'est pas comme RSDE puis CDA.
Non, c'est ça.
OK, c'est bon. Parfait, merci beaucoup. En fait, j'ai une autre question déjà. Parce que aussi, you were mentioning, because there's 2 trade shows where we would like to go, but they're not part of any program. So, I mean, is there, aside from asking for money for helping for exportation, can we give you insights about where we would like to go? And can you build a mission around that if, for example, it interests other people from the organization?
I have to know what exactly
the trade show. One of them is LPS Shanghai. Oh. You know that show?
No, I haven't heard it.
Okay. It's really real estate focused. That's why it's maybe just, for our industry, but I'm guessing, it might be interesting.
For that, I'm afraid that our organization is not in a position to do a trade mission. However, you may like to discuss with the Hong Kong Canada Business Association here, and maybe with the CCPIT, even the Chinese sponsor. Because I always believe that multipliers should be open-minded.
Okay.
Should all work together to help a common group of clients that is Quebec companies.
Okay.
And in fact, in Hong Kong, later on, I would suggest you to join our infrastructure mission to the Belt and Road Summit.
Okay.
That may open a new horizon.
All right. Thank you.
If I may add on Andrew's answer. So we have a Quebec office in Shanghai.
Yes.
We also have an antenna in Shenzhen. So we can accompany you to a certain extent as an individual company if you have a specific request. So we call it a roadshow, in which we're not necessarily attached to a trade show where we don't have a Quebec booth in a show per se, but we can accompany you with a couple sort of B2B meetings without necessarily having a full-fledged booth in an event. So I believe you probably know Charles, who takes care of your sector. So he even speaks the language, so he could definitely assist you, and we can connect you with the Shanghai office and see if there's any potential.
Definitely,
depending on the dates. So yeah,
this is in December, and we're definitely looking to go to that event.
Okay, yeah, I believe Charles also participated in the Belt and Road Summit in the past. I
think.
Yeah, so he may also be able to provide some information on the events that he's done with the HKTDC.
Merci. Thank you. I have it.
Any other questions? Des questions en ligne? Alors, il y avait une question en ligne. The presentation, the PowerPoint slides will be shared later, as long as with the contact information of our presenters if you have any further questions. Last but not least, I would like to invite Eric Cardinal, Vice President of the M&A Club and member of the HKCBA Montreal Board, to say closing remarks.
Thank you very much, Cindy. Oui, mon nom c'est Eric Cardinal. My role, for people who don't know me around the table, I'm an investment banker. I've had several businesses, had the pleasure of having some offices in Hong Kong for about 5 years. So part of the reason why I'm so involved in the Hong Kong community with Andrew for a decade now, I believe, is my experience in Hong Kong. So I'm here to share some of that. For about 5 years, I like to tell people the cycle that I was running was I was working 4 weeks in Canada, 1 week in Hong Kong, 1 week in Singapore, rinse and repeat. I did that for about 4 or 5 years. 15 years later, I'm still chronically jet lagged. I don't think I will ever recover from that experience. That being said, it was a wonderful period in my life where I developed excellent relationships in Hong Kong. I'm here to tell you about my experience in developing the market of Hong Kong on the ground. As an investment banking firm, we entered the Hong Kong market not really knowing how we would develop that market. And I will tell you, just the fact of having the Canadian flag on your marketing pieces will open up so many doors for you in the Asian market. We are a country that is very well regarded from all of the players in ASEAN. And the simple fact that you are interested in opening up the market of Asia and bringing the Canadian flag to that market opens up several doors. I give the example several times in my business. It's very important to meet institutional investors, for example. So here in Canada, where I am connected to absolutely everyone, if I call Caisse de Dépôt and I ask for a meeting with Charles Aymon, it will not happen. I will not be able to sit with Charles, although I used to work with Charles Aymon. Contrary to that, if you go to Hong Kong and you phone the MRT pension fund, for example, and you say, "Hi, I'm an investment banker. My name's Eric. I'm from Canada." 2 days later, you're sitting with the CEO. So that is a real life experience that I've lived in working in Hong Kong in my business. So it's very important to communicate that message to you and to tell you about the openness of working with people in Hong Kong. On a more personal note, or on a more timely note, I'm involved in a business called the M&A Club. The M&A Club is the biggest networking club of mergers and acquisition professionals in Canada. We started the club about 15 years ago, and now we are pan-Canadian. We have clubs in about 15 cities in Canada. We have more than 3,000 members. The reason I bring it up is because we are opening up a chapter in Hong Kong. Our first meeting of the M&A Club will be our first international expansion of our networking club, and we are opening it up in October. Part of the reason that we're doing that is because of all of the relationships that I've developed with all of the wonderful people here in the room and some of the organizations. So I name a few: HKCBA, obviously, that we've talked about, HKTDC, that helps us a lot. We have Invest Hong Kong as well. That is another organization that you can use. HKETO, for example, CanCham, which is also based in Hong Kong. All of these organizations you should be reaching out to. They will help you tremendously in what you are doing to expand. Of course, Investissement Québec and our friendly people that help us out there. I'm working a few mandates with Marc, based in both Hong Kong, ASEAN. And one of the things that Marc mentioned is he's also involved in MIDA, which is the Middle East, and we are working a file together in the Middle East as well. So it's very important to use some of the resources that we have here in Canada, here in Quebec, to develop the Asian market. So last thing I will say is I've had the pleasure of attending a lot of the trade shows that Andrew is mentioning. I've had the honor of being the co-mission economic leader to the Asian Financial Forum for 3 years running now, and I have been nominated by Andrew to lead the next one, which will be in January 2026. That is a huge conference. It's the biggest financial conference in the world, I believe. There are 4,000 to 5,000 delegates that go to this conference. If you are interested in attending one of these conferences, please reach out to any of us, to Andrew, to myself, to facilitate your trip to Hong Kong. It's a great opportunity. You saw some of the pictures out there to meet people. It is true that being present at these conferences are going to generate many leads. Again, to give you a personal example, at the Asian Financial Forum, there is this speed dating type of opportunity where you sit down with potential clients or investors or things like that. So as an investment banker, I list some of my deals and I get matched up with people that might have some interest in some of our deals, either to invest or to partner with us. And last time I was there in January, I sat down with a Canadian entrepreneur, which I had no idea existed. He's a ginseng farmer, okay? Ginseng, as you might know, is mostly based out of Korea. That's where it comes out of. He told me that he has the second biggest farm of ginseng in the world, which is based in Canada, in southern Ontario. And the reason for that is you can only grow ginseng in extreme climates. So it has to be extreme hot climate, extreme cold climates, and you need the proper earth to grow the ginseng and everything else. Now, isn't that crazy that I head out to Hong Kong, I sit with this entrepreneur, and now we are trying to find him partners to develop his farm, because he has a very special kind of ginseng that is very well perceived in the world, and we are getting him investors. So that's a concrete example of someone going out there, sitting down with someone, matching up with an entrepreneur, and actually conducting business with some of the people out there. So last thing I'll say just in closing is a quick word on the sponsors. Look around. You've got DS Lawyers, you've got Scotia, you've got HKTDC that sponsored this conference. One of the reasons for that is they are your best partners to explore a market such as Asia. So if you are looking for some legal advice, of course, Cindy at DS Law is your best contact. Scotia's got lots of ways of developing the market in Asia. So take a look at who is here today, and they are your best partners moving forward if you want to develop Asia. Last thing is thank you to Emma, that I've heard a few times now. You are a great speaker, and thank you to Adriana for presenting, and Marc, of course, from Investissement Québec. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you so much. For those who are available in person, we'll still have the room for a few more minutes, so feel free to network. For those attending online, thank you so much for being with us, and we hope that this was an informative meeting for you all, and that the recording will be available for replay on HKCBA's YouTube channel. Thank you.